Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, March 3rd. A chilly morning here in the Mid-Atlantic region, but much calmer than the last 36 hours or so. The winds have died down and high pressure will stay in control today, produce plenty of sunshine and milder conditions this afternoon with high temperatures at or above the 50-degree mark in much of the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. However, this warm-up will be temporary. A colder air mass arrives late tonight, anchored by strong, cold Canadian high pressure to the north, sitting across southern Canada, and it will remain in control not only tomorrow and Friday, but right through the upcoming weekend. There will be quite a bit of wind as well on Thursday night, and Friday from the northwest, with temperatures way below normal. Once that high shifts off the eastern seaboard early next week, the floodgates will open for much milder air, first to arrive in the northern plains and central plains, then the Midwest, and finally in the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S., probably next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we get colder on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, chilly as well right through the weekend, but then a spring fever alert for really next Tuesday and Wednesday in the Mid-Atlantic region. Before we get to the details on the next few days, let's take a look at the sea surface temperature pattern. As we begin the month of March here, we have two areas of interest we'll be monitoring over the next several weeks in the preparation for the tropical outlook for the upcoming summer season. First of all, La Nina continues across the tropical part of the Pacific Ocean right here. This horizontal line right here represents the equator, and blue, colder than normal sea surface temperatures. That was really the dominant theme through the winter season, and it certainly will hang around for at least another couple of months, and we'll see in a moment here. Most of the forecasts have it at best getting to neutral conditions. No real sign of an El Nino to form later on this summer season, so that will have an impact, some kind of an impact on the tropical outlook for the Atlantic Basin and the Pacific Basin as well. But again, La Nina, or colder than normal conditions, continue here as we begin the month of March. Another area of interest, something we'll be monitoring with regard to the tropical outlook for the Atlantic Basin. Notice this stretch of water right here, somewhat above normal, stretching almost from the west coast of Africa across the tropical Atlantic into the Gulf of Mexico. That too could play a role in the upcoming tropical season. So these are two areas of interest that we'll monitor over the next several weeks as we prepare an outlook for the 2021 Atlantic Basin tropical season. Well, staying on the theme of the La Nina in the tropical Pacific, here is a compilation of forecasts from the month of February for the next several months. And what we're looking at here is a prediction of the sea surface temperature pattern in the middle part of the tropical Pacific Ocean. Up above this horizontal line right here are El Nino conditions, and below La Nina. This is a neutral line here, and this is La Nina. We're starting off right in this region right here in the February-March time period. And the average of all of these models, many dynamical models, many statistical models, keeps it in La Nina to near neutral over the next several months. Notice this is June, July, August, all the way out to August, September, October. Generally near neutral or maybe a weak La Nina continues. No signs of an El Nino, anything strong up in this region right here over the upcoming summer. This is a little bit different from some of the La Ninas of the past, where we flipped from La Nina to El Nino in time for the tropical season. Doesn't look like that will be the case if these model forecasts are any kind of accurate here. Again, the green here represents kind of the mean of all these models. Relatively weak La Nina conditions look like they may continue for the next several months. Well, we've talked about kind of a topsy-turvy type of temperature pattern over the next several days. We get colder again tomorrow, and that chill below normal temperatures in the northeastern part of the nation. Looks like it'll stick around right through the upcoming weekend, but then a big warm-up next week. Beyond that, we could get colder again in the eastern part of the nation during the second half of the month of March. What we're looking at here is the ensemble run of the GFS from 6Z last night. Average 850 millibar temperature anomalies in a given 5-day period. This is the current 5-day period, and no surprise here, below normal conditions on average for the next 5 days. This afternoon will be above normal, again 50 plus degrees in the I-95 corridor region, but then cold front swings through tonight, colder than normal Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, hence the 5-day average below normal this part of the nation. Now let's move forward here and watch what happens. First of all, by next week, a big warm-up, first starting in the plains, then shifting to the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, the Great Lakes, and then finally arriving in the Mid-Atlantic region. Probably Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week will be the real spring fever alert time for the Mid-Atlantic region, Northeast U.S. Thursday may be a transitional day with a frontal system approaching the area late in the day. But again, for the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S., it looks like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week will be when we'll experience the big warm-up that first starts in the center part of the nation. But then you go through the middle and into the second half of March, and notice what happens here by the time we get to days 12 to 16. We're in the middle of March now here. This is March 14th to March 19th right here. Look at that. Colder than normal conditions throughout much of the U.S. That southeastern ridge kind of getting squashed out here by colder air, perhaps moving in from the north and west. So even though we warm up significantly next week, the second week of March in the eastern half of the nation, doesn't look like that'll be the beginning of spring or the end of winter here, as a colder air certainly shows up on the map here over a widespread area from the eastern Pacific all the way to the northern Atlantic by the time we get into the middle and maybe the second half of the month of March. Well, let's now walk through the surface forecast maps from the operational run of the GFS at 0Z last night. Strong low pressure stays to the south and east of the Mid-Atlantic region, but produces quite a bit of rainfall across the Carolinas all the way back into Georgia. And again, a nice day today in the Mid-Atlantic region. But watch what happens by the time we get into the overnight hours. This pressure gradient starting to tighten up here. Again, anchored by strong, cold Canadian high pressure by the time we get to tomorrow morning. And this Canadian high sends a cold air mass all the way down through the Mid-Atlantic region by tomorrow, and it sticks around right through the upcoming weekend. The winds will stay strong tomorrow night, and Friday. And again, the chill will stick around right through the upcoming weekend here. Look at this. All the way into the upcoming weekend, we have this high pressure system still in control. And another wave of low pressure stays way down to the south, causes some rain across the deep south. This is the Saturday morning forecast map, and could produce some severe weather down across some of the southeastern part of the nation in the late Friday, late Saturday time frame. Then we move forward here, and this high, certainly by the early part of next week, starts to shift to the eastern seaboard. And here's the forecast map for next Monday afternoon. Notice that high drops all the way from Canada by tomorrow morning down to the east coast region by the early part of next week. And this is starting to set the stage here for a major warm-up. Here we are now by Tuesday morning. This flow right here is a strong flow from the southwest to the northeast on the backside of this high. Remember, winds blow clockwise around highs, so this is a flow from the southwest to the northeast. The big warm-up next week first starts in the central plains. We'll see temperatures way above normal across the central plains. Then it tends to shift to the Ohio Valley and Midwest by Tuesday and into the Mid-Atlantic region. Certainly by the time we get to Tuesday afternoon, especially Wednesday of next week, it looks like spring fever alert time for D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Again, next Tuesday and Wednesday, perhaps highs well up in the 60s, maybe even a flirtation with the 70-degree mark in places like D.C. by the middle part of next week. Now, as we just saw a few minutes ago, doesn't mean spring will begin. In fact, there are signs that it turns colder again during the middle and second half of the month of March. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.